What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to another episode in our challenge to build the ultimate Game Boy collection. Last time, we focused on the consoles, choosing our main console and modding our old Game Boy Advance with a new shell, buttons, and backlit screen. And now, it's finally time to focus on the games and building our collection. And the first few I got aren't what you think they are, so come along for the ride today as we add the first few games to our Game Boy collection. In our first video, I quickly showed this copy of Pokemon Fire Red. Now, this isn't an ordinary copy, however. It's a reproduction cartridge that I bought at a convention a few years back for 20 bucks. If you look online, an authentic copy can go for well over $120, and that's just for a loose copy. If you just wanted to play it again for fun casually, you either have to bite the bullet and buy the game, or emulate it, but then you couldn't play it on original hardware. I've always heard horror stories on these reproduction cartridges. I mean, look at something like DK Oldies. One of those popular gaming channels has tons of videos speaking out against reproduction cartridges and the damage they do to the scene. Honestly though, I think they're a good thing for the community. For someone like me, who yes, wants to collect games but also play them as well, I don't have the money to shell out $100+ for some of these games, and the chances I'd find one at a garage sale, where they might not know what these games are worth, gets more and more rarer by the day. I love this copy of Fire Red. 36 hours later and the thing is still working like a charm. I could even trade Pokemon from this game to my authentic copies of Ruby and Emerald no problem. It was this cart that kickstarted the idea of collecting Game Boy games in me anyway. So that's why I decided to grab reproduction cartridges of Sapphire and Leaf Green as the first two games to add to the collection. I got both of these together for the same seller on AliExpress for only $6.15, so I definitely got ripped off on that Fire Red cart all those years back. They arrived at the same time as our Game Boy Advance screen, and while yes, right off the bat you can tell they aren't the legit copies, for someone who just really wants to play them, they both work and play just fine. Now, I've heard stories of these carts where they stop working or wouldn't save after a period of time, but going back to the Fire Red cart, I think 36 hours and still kicking is more than enough time, especially for the price we're paying anyway. Now, being able to play these otherwise unaffordable games on actual hardware isn't the only perk of these carts. Take a look at this scenario. Over on my Twitch streams, we've been playing through Earthbound, and all I keep hearing is how its sequel, Mother 3, is one of the greatest games of all time. Well, here's the problem. Mother 3 never came out in the US, and the only way to play it is a fan-translated ROM off an emulator. However, after doing some more digging, I was able to find that fan-translated ROM on a cartridge, so we can play it on our newly modded Game Boy. It's even from the same seller we got our Pokemon games from. After the $7, the cart arrived and we can happily add it to the collection. It's not only Mother. There's dozens of cool Pokemon ROM hacks this generation you can also order in cartridge form for, again, less than $10. Now, I don't want you to think that I'm only going to go for reproduction cartridges. If the game is affordable, I'm going to get the original, and eventually, I'll replace our Pokemon games with authentic ones. I'm mainly using them as a way to play some of these games that I couldn't normally afford right away, and I think if you're using them for that purpose, reproduction cartridges can be a good thing for the scene. Unfortunately, I know this isn't always the case, as there's tons of people trying to sell these off as authentic copies. The people who might not know the difference, and that I can't stand. Always leave it to someone to ruin the fun for everyone else. For today's video, we added 3 games to our collection for a total of $13.66, bringing our Game Boy Advance game total to 34 games, and our total spent for the challenge to $77.36. Thank you all again for watching. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date with our journey, and come back next time as we continue our journey to add games to our Game Boy collection.